I still remember that morning. Not the quiet hum of birds, not the smell of coffee, but the thunder of an engine tearing through my front yard like it was a racetrack. Mud flew across my porch. Grass ripped from its roots. And behind the wheel sat the last person I ever expected to see. Karen Dunn, our beloved HOA president. The self-proclaimed guardian of neighborhood standards. She was smiling as her shiny black SUV carved fresh scars across the lawn I'd spent years perfecting. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about grass. This was about control, and she'd just declared war on me. I've lived in Maple Hollow for 6 years. It's one of those quiet, picture-perfect suburbs where everyone waves from driveways, every mailbox matches, and the HOA keeps everything looking uniform. I'm not flashy. I don't throw parties or drive expensive cars. My pride is my lawn. Green, level, edged to perfection. It's not vanity, it's peace. After long days at work, mowing those stripes straight gives me a sense of order in a world that rarely makes sense. But peace doesn't last long when there's a Karen running the show. It started small. 2 faint tire lines one damp morning after a night of rain. I figured it was a delivery truck that cut the corner. A harmless mistake. But the next day, the same pattern appeared, deeper this time, tearing into the roots. By the end of the week, it wasn't a mistake. It was routine. I started setting my alarm earlier, watching through the blinds with coffee in hand like some suburban detective. And sure enough, every morning, between 7:15 and 7:30, that massive SUV rolled across my grass like clockwork. At first, I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe it was a neighbor's kid borrowing their parents' car. But then I checked the security footage I'd installed, and there she was. Karen Dunn, sunglasses on, one hand on the wheel. That smug little grin plastered on her face. The same woman who fined me last year because my recycling bin was visible from the street for 30 minutes. The same woman who once told me my hedges were an inch too tall for neighborhood harmony. And now she was driving through my yard every morning, like it was her private shortcut. I must have replayed that clip 100 times, each time feeling a new wave of disbelief and anger. It wasn't just the hypocrisy, it was the arrogance. She didn't even try to hide it. Every day, the same time, same spot, same smirk. She was mocking me. I finally decided to confront her during the monthly HOA community cleanup. You know, the one where everyone pretends to care about the park, while Karen parades around with her clipboard like she's running a royal inspection. I waited until she strutted close enough and said, "Karen, got a second?" She turned, fake smile already locked in place. "Always happy to talk to residents, Dylan," she said. I took a deep breath. "You've been driving across my lawn. I have it on camera." For a brief second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Guilt, maybe surprise, but it vanished fast. She let out a soft laugh. "Oh, Dylan, it's just grass. It'll grow back." Then she leaned closer, voice sweet as poison. "You might want to be careful who you accuse. After all, I am the HOA." That was her warning shot, and I felt it hit. Over the next few weeks, her little campaign against me began. Letters started appearing in my mailbox. Violation notices for ridiculous things. Failure to maintain lawn quality. Trash can visible after collection. Garden ornaments not aligned with neighborhood aesthetic. All signed by her. It was absurd. She was destroying my yard. Then fining me for the damage. I tried to fight it properly. I showed the footage at the next HOA meeting, thinking surely the truth would matter. But Karen stood up, gasped dramatically, and called the footage doctored. She claimed I was harassing her out of spite for being fined. The room turned on me. Polite frowns, awkward silences. One neighbor even muttered, "Maybe just let it go, Dylan." I left that meeting humiliated. I remember sitting in my car afterward, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring at the dashboard while her words echoed in my head. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it was just grass. Maybe if I stayed quiet, things would go back to normal. But deep down, I knew better. Karen wasn't going to stop. She was teaching me a lesson. Stay in line, or she'd bury me under paperwork and fines. That night, I sat on my porch, watching the faint headlights of passing cars. My lawn was torn to shreds. Every rut in the soil felt like a personal insult. For a while, I thought about selling the house, getting out. But then I thought of my dad. He used to say, "Son, never let anyone walk over what you've built, not even in muddy boots." And right then, I decided I wouldn't let her win, not through yelling, not through anger, but through precision. If she wanted a game, I'd give her one she couldn't control. I spent days digging through HOA bylaws, city codes, property regulations, and buried in the fine print, I found my answer. A clause about reasonable use of property for protection and beautification. It was all I needed. I started designing something so simple, so legal, and so infuriatingly effective. She wouldn't see it coming. I hired a landscaper, told him I wanted a low, tasteful border along the front of my property. Planters, shrubs, decorative gravel, everything within code, everything approved by the city. The perfect beautification project. The real purpose? To block Karen's shortcut. The landscapers showed up early on a Wednesday. By noon, a neat line of heavy ceramic planters stood right where her tires used to roll. They looked elegant, neutral colors, clean layout, even a few small flowers for flair. I had every receipt printed, every permit saved in a folder labeled Civic Beautification. That evening, I brewed a fresh pot of coffee, set up my cameras, and waited. 5 o'clock sharp. Her SUV turned the corner. I watched the feed on my phone as she slowed, frowned, and stared at the row of planters. She tried to angle the car through, but there wasn't room. She reversed, tried again, tires crunching on the gravel, engine revving in frustration. One by one, neighbors started noticing. Phones came out. Someone laughed. Karen finally stepped out, heels clicking, face red. "What is this, Dylan?" she snapped. I smiled. "Landscaping. Beautification project. Looks good, doesn't it?" She glared at me, eyes sharp enough to cut glass. "You can't just—" "I checked," I said, holding up the stack of papers. "City approved, fully within property line." Around us, a few neighbors chuckled. She realized she was on stage, and this time, the audience wasn't on her side. She muttered something about violations and stormed off, her SUV backing awkwardly out of the gravel. The next day, clips started circulating on the neighborhood group chat. Karen, stuck in front of my house, yelling while her tires spun uselessly. The captions were brutal. Queen versus the planters. Curb Appeal 1, Karen's. Within days, everyone had seen it. Her power, that untouchable image she built, started to crack. Of course, she didn't go down quietly. I got 3 new violation letters that week. One accused me of obstructing community flow. Another said my gravel presented a tripping hazard. The third, my personal favorite, claimed I'd created an environment hostile to vehicular passage. I pinned them on my fridge like trophies. Then came the final act, a small claims lawsuit. Karen accused me of harassment, defamation, and willful obstruction of HOA operations. She showed up to court wearing pearls and perfume thick enough to suffocate the front row. Her young lawyer looked like he regretted being there. She told the judge I'd edited footage to make her look bad, that I'd weaponized landscaping, when it was my turn. I calmly presented every video, every invoice, every city email. Then I showed the clip, the one where her SUV clipped a planter and she got out yelling. The courtroom chuckled. Even the judge cracked a smile. When the ruling came, it was short and sweet. Case dismissed. And Karen was ordered to pay my filing fees. She walked out red-faced, eyes fixed straight ahead, heels echoing like a slow drumbeat of defeat. For someone who'd spent years ruling over this neighborhood, that walk down the courthouse hallway might have been the longest of her life. Word spread fast. The clip from court leaked into our town's Facebook group. The comments were merciless. "Justice blooms," one said. "HOA queen dethroned." Another. By the next HOA meeting, Karen was a ghost of her former self. Quieter, brittle, constantly checking who was recording. A month later, she stepped down to focus on family. No one believed it. As for me, my lawn healed. The grass grew back thicker, brighter, as if it knew it had survived something. The planters stayed. Neighbors complimented them. Some even copied the idea. And every time I mow those clean, straight lines, I remember how close I came to giving up. Because that's what people like her want. For you to quit, to cave, to believe their power is permanent. But it never is. Power built on fear and ego collapses the second people start laughing. One Saturday, I was trimming the hedges when a new couple walked by. The husband waved. "Hey, you're the guy who stood up to Karen, right?" I laughed. "I guess that's me." He grinned. "Man, you're a legend around here." I don't know about legend, but I do know this. I got my peace back, my home back. My mornings are quiet again. The only sound the soft hum of the mower and the wind through the shrubs that now guard my lawn like little green sentinels. Karen still lives down the street. Sometimes I see her walking, head down. No more waves, no more orders barked across the cul-de-sac. The SUV still sits in her driveway, shiny and idle, like a monument to her downfall. And every time I pass by, I can't help but smile, not out of spite, but out of satisfaction. Because the lesson was simple. Arrogance always plants the seeds of its own defeat. You just have to be patient enough to let them grow.